You're listening to Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official podcast of Lingerie Fighting Championships. And now, here's your host, Michael Larkin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me today is an amazing model, amazing talent, content creator, and she is a contestant in the Goddess Among Us contest, the search for the most beautiful woman in the world, the one, the only, Miss Koven. How are you, Koven?
Hi. Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. First and foremost, it is awesome to see you in this contest, folks, because goddesses come in many fashions, as you can see with my guest here today. We have so many amazing talent in this competition, in this contest, to really determine the world's most beautiful woman, if you will. For you, how is it being in this contest, number one? And number two, being a goddess in your own right, ma'am, you certainly do fit not only the qualifications, but as an overall woman in your overall foundation. This has got to be awesome for you to really showcase your talents.
Yeah, so when I initially found out about the competition, I was like, wow, that is a really cool idea to be having this competition and then have the winners be on a TV show. I think that's awesome. But what I absolutely hate about it is that it is a popularity contest, and a lot of it has to do with buying votes. And any competition that I've seen where that is the model, it always usually ends up being pretty unfair. So I don't like the way that they're doing it, but I'm still gonna do everything that I can to fucking win.
Okay, well, first of all, honesty aside, and I like your bluntness because that's totally cool. But I look at it from a stance like this, as far as popularity contests and everything. I love the fact that you are going to do your best to win, number one. And number two, best of luck to you. I hope you do win. And for those who do have seen it, please go out of your way and vote for Miss Koven over here, because I got to say, we'll put up the Goddess Among Us here, folks, because if you've not checked out her page, this one over here, I love your bio first and foremost, because it states right here, I'm a living, breathing goddess among us. I've been training my ass off for years in hopes of receiving a title such as this. As a mother and a priestess, I couldn't think of a better fighter more deserving to wear the crown. I mean, that right there, a mother and a priestess right there. Mother is the foundation. It is the reason why we are in this world that we are in. And also the priestess, I got to say, you got those great vibes about you looking at this photo, internal and external beauty, the tattoos, its edginess, its sexiness, its elegance, and it's everything wrapped into one, which is a great overall feature.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, for you, I want to just put this out here, folks, because for those who have not seen Koven's work, I mean, my God, woman, from the Sessions Wrestling side of things, the fetish side of things, to your overall Koven Studios, let's talk about this. Because when you look at fetish wrestling and Sessions Wrestling, and everything from the modeling side of things, it does have that empowerment factor, but it's also the badassery and kick-assery type of vibes. What kind of gravitated you towards that field? Because, I mean, we've seen your work with Koven Studios. You put out a lot of quality content.
Yeah, thank you. So I got my start in fetish modeling over 10 years ago, and it all started because I was on Model Mayhem, and I received a message from a producer who asked me to do a tickle shoot for him. And it was like unlike anything I'd ever heard of before, but it paid really well. And I was like, sure, I'll try it. And I went over and did the shoot, and it just kind of stuck, and I kept booking more and more and more shoots, which kind of led me into my career of fetish modeling. And the fight stuff came along much more recently. I got really just like jaded and kind of tired of doing the same like tickling and foot stuff. And when I moved to Vegas was the first time that I did a wrestle shoot with Femdom Studios. And he actually invited me over and trained me and showed me different wrestling moves and stuff. And then I did his shoot, and I was like, wow, this is really fun. And it was so different from anything that I had ever done before. And I just really enjoyed it. And most of the stuff is like the girls beating up the guys. And I just loved that. It was super fun. And then how I got into boxing, which is what I produce now, mostly what I produce, is I just out of the blue received a custom request for someone who wanted to see me do a boxing POV. And again, unlike anything I had ever done before, and I was like, yeah, I guess I'll try it. He's like, trust me, you're going to be great. And I was like, okay. So I did it, and I posted it on my clip store, which I had not been active on my clip store. I've had my clip store since 2017, and I just haven't ever really posted very much on it. But I wanted to start producing more. And so I posted the boxing POV on there, and it just shot my store to the moon. And we were just getting so many sales off of that video. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And it was also something that I had a lot of fun doing. So I was like, okay, I guess we're fight producers now. So I just started producing fight content, and it's been really, really fun. And my store has just been doing really well and climbing the ranks. And every single time I post a video, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe how well this is doing.
Well, first and foremost, much love and continued success on that front, because your star is continuing to rise, and it's wonderful to see. And
Thank you.
you're very welcome. And let's put it like this, because the way you also have to look at life, and I equate this with what we're going to talk about here, life is an art form where we're all applying our crafts. So we're all looking to apply our crafts in an amazing, spectacular fashion. I think for you going into different routes, which is very admirable, and one of the reasons why I have a lot of respect for you, it's like, all right, I'm tired of doing tickling and stuff. I mean, it's great, but I want to expand. I want to explore more. It's really opening up the horizons. You look at the clientele that we have, it's so many unique preferences of what people like or are into. And I think the way to motivate as well as just really help inspire and encourage is it could be escape for a lot of people to go this route and just also let them be themselves, very much open. And it's a positive escape for people who might be going through stuff or anything. I think for us as a being and us with our content, especially from the boxing side, the wrestling side, and the combat level, it's something that a lot of people can gravitate towards. And I think if you have that gravitational pull like you and so many ladies do, it's a very rewarding feeling. And I can't wait to see where you go forward further with this, because it is a great clientele and a great form of entertainment for many people.
Yeah, it is super fun. I enjoy it a lot. And I started incorporating it into my sessions as well. And I'm not a big sessioner. Like, I rarely do sessions, but the ones that I do, I started incorporating like beat downs, and it's just so much fun. I just love it. I just love beating up guys.
Well, speaking from the male point of view, sometimes you need a little bit of ass kicking. You know what I'm saying? I'll put it out there in the forefront. But no, I mean, I think what's great about it too, as well as for a lot of great women like yourself with many different facets of life, I think sometimes a lot of guys, not only does it fulfill like the fantasy, so to speak, but if guys really do see it, and again, it's amazing to see so many different categories that are out there that people are into. It's one of those things where it's just like not only the fun aspect, because if you're not having fun, then why the hell are you doing it? But also at the second time, man, it's one of those things where it's like it's different, and it puts people out into the forefront from something that can be something from an underground perspective. Think of like Fight Club back in the day with Brad Pitt. You can't talk about Fight Club, but god dang it, we're going to talk about some boxing. We're going to talk about this. It's something that's really put out to the forefront, and it's wonderful to see more people coming into it, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And for you, Miss Koven, let's talk about this, because you have worked with so many people. If you've not checked out our Clips for Sale store, my goodness gracious. I mean, the likes of Daisy Ducati, Jolene Hex, the likes of Ziva Faye. You've put out great content with those women. And I got to say, I love the chemistry. I love the synergy, because you two work so well together.
Yeah, thank you. I've had a lot of fun with all the models that I hire. I'm also pretty picky about the models that I do choose for my store, because I want that good chemistry to come through on camera, because I know that people really notice it. So that's why like I've been careful about who I choose, because yeah, I want us to be able to have that flow and like work together really well during our shoots.
I think that's also, and besides what we see on camera, I think the behind the scenes of the lighting and everything to have that, we mentioned gravitational pull, but that imagery that really encompasses one shot, so to speak, and a photo, if you will. But I think, like you mentioned there, to go off on that, accommodation and comfortability is a key in any form of business and any form of entertainment. And I think not only providing it in a safe and spectacular fashion, I think that really goes into a lot to see what women like you do and many people do. So I think the accommodation comfortability factor really goes so much in what you ladies do as far as the content creation, the producing side of what we get to see with said films.
Yeah, definitely.
And for you, I got to say this, another thing that I always do love about you too is not only do we have that badassery factor, I think for you being the strong woman that you are, and from the business acumen have that you are with your Star Rising to incorporate that, I think a lot of people can really see that within your work. And I'll say this with you, watching your work, not only are you having fun, like I've seen the stuff that you've done with Darius and Hit the Mat. My goodness, this boxing machine over here knows how to go with the rights and the jabs and everything. I think a lot of that you see on camera with anything you do, not only are you having fun, but it really showcases the overall empowerment that you have for a lot of women. So number one, kudos on that front. But number two, that is absolutely wonderful to see. And I cannot wait to see what more you produce, because you do have a lot of great content coming up as far as producing wise and a lot of the models that you're working with.
Yeah, thank you. I am very excited for everything moving forward. I feel like, I mean, we've only been doing this for 6 months,
Right?
and it's just been so awesome. And just kind of like trying to find my niche and my look that I want for the videos. And I think we're going to try out a lot more sort of like cinematic stuff, which I'm really excited about, because I love to be able to use my creativity in that way to just create like this awesome, like I don't just want to just turn the camera on and film a video, like I love having these different pieces come together to create like this beautiful thought out um, stylized video.
No, I completely agree with you. First of all, what I love about that too is, well, you talk about the cinematic format. I mean, when you're watching a movie, when you watch a music video, I think it's everything from the subtleties, the intricacies and nuances, the facial expressions, how to elicit reactions, evoke emotion, so to speak. That is so key in anything that you do. Like you mentioned, you just turn on a video. It's not just boom, here it is. There's stuff that goes into it from the, like you mentioned, cinematic, the acting's type of vibes that really can engage with people. So I think adding the more cinematic realm, the subtleties, intricacies, and nuances, it really works within the character and just amplifies you and advances you up to another level to turn the volume turned up, so to speak. And I think that will definitely transition and transact well.
Yeah, for sure. I know the fans are noticing the hard work we put in behind the scenes. So that makes me feel really good. And it just motivates me to do it better and better and better each time.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, when you look at yourself, I mean, you're a wonderful person, you're a mother, you're a priestess, which let's talk about this for a second here. When you think of Coven, you think of stuff that has to do with like witches and everything of that type of vibe. There's so many different things that go into it. I love the name, number one, but also number two, it's very creative and just not from a marketing standpoint, but just you as an overall being. So, I mean, it really does solidify your overall foundation as a person. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. I love the name Coven because I feel like it does kind of get to the heart of who I feel like I am. I'm very spiritual and I do practice a lot of different types of magic. And that's what I really love to do in my free time is I study the occult. And that's what I've been doing for many, many, many years. And I even had a spiritual business for 6 years where I was an energy healer and psychic. And I've been taking a break from that to do this because I got kind of burnt out on just people asking so much of me. And it's a lot to like give that much of your energy. but it's still something that I very much enjoy to do for myself and in my free time. And I even have priestess, I don't know if you can see, tattooed there on my hand.
First of all, love the ink. They did an amazing job with that tattoo. And number two, first of all, they're addicting sons of guns, man. I have about 2 or 3 on me that are in dedication to parents. And I think what I love about it too, as well, is tattoos are an art form in its own right. The body tells its own canvas in a way. So I think that's awesome to see. And I mean, from the spiritual side of things, I mean, the universe tends to unfold as it should, doing a lot of spiritual healing, helping a lot of people. I think that's wonderful, really, to not only expand on the occult, but just to expand and really broaden the horizons of the spiritual form, the afterlife. There's so many things to dive into. And I think to be open within the universe and to be open with one's mind and one's heart, that goes a long way with people. So, I mean, you're kind of like, as the term has been known as a jack of all trades, you're kind of a Jill of all trades, man. And really the occult, I mean, my goodness, the wrestling side of things, the content creation. So I think that just opens up to not only the variety that you have, but just you just going out there and saying, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to do this. I not only do I know my worth, but I know I'm good at my worth, and I'm going to put the best foot forward and the effort into it. And it definitely and certainly shows.
Yeah, thank you.
You are most welcome. And I will say this. Another thing that I really have to bring up with you as well is there's so much that goes into just not only being a strong woman, but the internal and external beauty and the spiritual side of things. I always love asking this question because we're really big on the goddess among us thing. Is goddess means so many things to so many different people. It comes in many different body shapes, what have you. There's so many things that men find to be appealing about goddesses. Same with women. There's so much out there, and there's so many amazing talents of many people in this contest and women in general in this thing that we call life. So I got to ask you, Miss Koven, being a goddess in your own right, forefront, really putting yourself out there. What does a goddess mean to Koven? What is the definition of a goddess in Koven's eyes?
To me, a goddess is the embodiment of the divine feminine. So everything to do with divine feminine energy, you will see in the goddess figure. And that goes back to, I mean, God, just about every culture and every religion has that divine feminine figure that they have worshipped forever. And I just see that as the energy of the divine feminine.
Beautifully and eloquently said. I really like that answer, and I think a lot of people can adhere to those sentiments. I think for me, and I'm going to add on to this with you, because we've talked about the fact, like, I'll be completely honest with you, the beauty, strength, and dominance name comes from the 3 key elements that make women the work of art that they are. I think how you look at art forms, and I'll make a pop culture reference. Look at Bob Ross, for God's sake. You got to come home, you look at the joy of painting. Here's Bob Ross painting this masterpiece for 30 plus minutes. We got a mountain, we got some rivers, we got everything, and in between time on the canvas, right? If you can look at a woman like Bob Ross looks at those doggone paintings, man, you're golden. You can see the woman for the internal and external beauty and what they have within their soul, much like you could see a painting in anything in life. It's just about your overall surroundings and what you surround yourself with, whether it be positively proactive or just the energy that you manifest and put out into the universe. I think that goes a long way with how we see it, society and people in general.
Definitely.
And I will say this about you, ma'am. Definitely, not only should you vote for her in the Goddess Among Us, but you should check out Koven's work. You got some stuff coming up with MJ the Dominator Domino. You are a busy bee, and you are going to continue to grind and shine in your own right. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for you, ma'am. And before we do close this out, I'm going to say right now, the Overture is here. Anytime you want to come back on the show, you are more than welcome. I really had a blast talking to you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Yes, please go vote for me because I want to fucking win.
The bluntest of terms. I love it. Like I said, folks, you can check out a lot of what Koven does on the Goddess Among Us page. And we'll pull this up one last time so everybody can check out the lovely Miss Koven on the Goddess Among Us page. But before we do that, I will say this, Koven, if you'd like to promote your social medias, please go ahead. Where can we follow you on the social media fronts?
On X, aka Twitter, Koven Studios on there is where you can find me. I am not on Instagram. I'm not on OnlyFans. I just got my Twitter. It's Koven Studios, and my Clips for Sale store, which is also on my Twitter page.
Beautifully and eloquently stated, and straight, simple to the point. Just follow me on Twitter/X. I like your style. You could definitely check it out. And I will say this, ma'am, you're a hell of a follow because I follow you on Twitter. You post a lot of great content. You definitely should give a follow over to Miss Koven over here. And last but certainly not least, we'll take a look at Goddess Among Us one last time. What's great about the talent here, folks, and I read the bio earlier, such an amazing bio. Look at this eloquent photo, an elegant photo right here of Miss Koven. I got to put over here what I love about it, because you mentioned the turn-ons, the occult. We had touched upon it in today's forum, but the turn-offs are narcissism, favorite drink is black tea, favorite food is donuts. I got to say, you have warmed my heart, ma'am, because the donuts, who doesn't love a good donut? Give me some toppings, give me some Krispy Kreme. What? I got to ask you about your favorite donut here, man. We got to talk about some donuts up in here. What are some of your favorite donuts?
Okay, so I live in Vegas.
Right.
There's a place here called Pink Box Donuts. They have my favorite donut. It's a Nutella croissant donut, and it is just so awesome. I love it.
I will say this right now. I think if I go back to Vegas, which I hope to later in the year or possibly early next year, I got to get me some donuts now. You're making me hungry. The right way to the man is the stomach, folks. You got to give us the stomach. We manja, if you will. I love that. Favorite drink, black tea. What is it about black tea? Because I got to say, I've had some black tea in my time. Very, very good. I will say it's definitely a treat for a lot of people who have not drank it before. I was going to say, so what is it about the black tea that you like? Because it is.
Oh. I don't know. I love to drink that when I wake up in the morning. I love the flavor. It helps me wake up. I just enjoy it.
No, I like your style too on that. I think if you have that, you know what it is? It's the pick-me-up, whether you're in the morning. Some people drink coffee, some people drink tea. I think that's very awesome to see. Not only does it show the energy and pick-me-up, guys. I know we're talking about a lot of the turn-ons with the drinks and whatnot, but I think a lot of people can really realize that. Not only positively proactive, but it keeps you going, and I think energy is key in anything that you do. So definitely on the black tea side of things. And one of the turn-offs that you mentioned is narcissism, which I have to say, I completely agree with you on that, because that is probably, when you see a narcissistic person, it is definitely a turnoff. So I think you put a lot into that where it comes from the turnoff side of things, because the narcissism does go a lot in today and age, which is unfortunate because a lot of people we see a lot of narcissistic tendencies, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Self-explanatory why that is my biggest turnoff.
Fair enough. But I got to say, what's great about this contest, like we mentioned here, folks, the black tea drinking, donut eating, narcissism hating son of a gun. Let's put that and market that on a t-shirt. I like your style, man. So I will say this before we do close this out, folks. If you want to check out this podcast, lfcfights.com, and you can check out the VIP section of the LFC website where you can check out this podcast and this lovely face right here, the lovely Miss Koven, and this podcast and so many great events, and goddessamonguskontest.com. and everything that goes into this fine contest to determine the most beautiful woman in the world. And Koven, lastly, I will say this, as we say each and every show: beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Miss Koven, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Come talk to me. On to me, looking at you, looking like you're wondering if we're here for the same reason. And I bet you wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey. Yeah, I bet you're here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, I'm right here. If you're looking for the good life, good vibes, honey, I'm right here. And I'm waiting for you. And I love you in your summer skin, looking at you, looking like you're into it. We're here for the same reason. Yeah, I just wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey. Yeah, 'cause I'm just here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, you're right here.